Yeah, that's Max, my boss. I'm in there. Well, I was in there, so was Captain. I'm okay. Captain is okay. We're both pretty sore and banged up, but not as banged up as Max. We started out in Austin, Texas on Thanksgiving. I met up with my friend Dave for a big group turkey dinner, and then he had to go do the family thing, and I hung out most of the afternoon and the evening at this amazing park I found. I'll probably do a video on it sometime, and I was gonna spend the night there, but it seemed kind of iffy, so I drove to Buda. I thought it was Buda, but it was actually Buda, and slept at the Cracker Barrel in Buda. Next day, Dave came to Buda and saw me. He saw the bus, well, the inside of the bus anyway, for the first time, and we caught up, which took a while because it's been like 25 years since I've seen him. It was 2 in the afternoon by the time I was ready to hit the road, and it was raining, and I thought about sticking around, staying another night in Austin because I hate driving in the rain, but I really wanted to get to the better weather, so I checked the forecast. I have this app called On the Way. I'm not an affiliate for it or anything, but it's a great app because it shows you what you can expect along a route. Then you can alter your departure time or your route depending on the weather, but it showed that there's going to be crappy weather all the way through to my planned stop for the night. It looked like it was going to be crappy for a couple of days. So I just figured if I have no choice but to drive in crappy weather, I might as well do it today. So I left. About maybe 40 minutes past Austin. It was drizzly, it was foggy, but it was pretty basic, compared to New England weather. I mean, I didn't think it was a particularly dangerous day to drive. I didn't really think about anyway, that the roads there get a lot more slick when it rains. I was totally alert. I mean, I was listening to a podcast, but I was paying a lot of attention. I was really alert, and a guy stopped in front of me to take a turn without signaling fairly quickly, but it wasn't like split second or anything. I had time to react, but I stepped on the brakes and I didn't stop. I tried to pump them, but it's like they were locked. And I wish I had set up the dash cam. I keep saying I'm going to do it, but I wish I had done it, so I could really make sure that I really remember everything the way it happened. But anyway, the guy stopped. What I remember is the guy stopped to turn. I stepped on the brakes and I didn't stop, and instead I heard that skidding, screeching sound, and then I was skidding and I couldn't stop the bus at all, but I was able to steer around the guy. So I didn't hit him, and then I swerved again to miss the guy in front of him, and that put me in the opposite lane. There's traffic coming toward me, so I swerved back into my own lane, but I swerved a little too hard, and I swerved just hard enough to tip the bus over onto the driver's side. I overcorrected. There was a point when I just knew I couldn't recover. I knew we were going over, and it was such a weird feeling. The one good thing is that I knew I wasn't going to hit anybody, and I didn't. Once we were on the side, to get out, I had to climb up the passenger side. Now that was on top. So those double doors where kids get on for school, those were on the top, and they don't like staying open at that angle. I'm not totally sure how I got out. I wish I had a video of that. But at first I tried to get out with Captain in my arms, but I couldn't get up there and also carry him. So I figured, the whole put the mask on yourself first thing. But then I really underestimated how hard it was going to be to get back down there to get him, or to get him to climb toward me. The windshield wipers were going because the key got jammed. And if you remember, Captain hates the windshield wipers. And then the fire department came and they climbed in there and pulled him out by his harness. When he came up out of that door, he looked pissed off. But, Captain often looks pissed off. It was clear that he was totally okay, though, that he wasn't hurt. I, on the other hand, was not totally okay because I was completely freaking out. I mean, I love my bus. I love my home. And I really just got things dialed in, The way I had things attached, nothing was really able to fall forward, thank God, to hit me or Captain. But that didn't stop the entire contents of the drawers and the cabinets on the passenger side from just crashing into the center. I could see it happening in the rear view as we were tumbling. I could see the cabinets coming off the wall, and all I kept thinking was, this is really happening while we were going over. Well, that was the first thing I thought, and then my mind went to, how much is this going to cost? And it's a weird thing that I was thinking about that. You know, I could have died, and I'm thinking about that. But I guess I never really felt like I was going to be injured probably because I have a lot of confidence in that bus. Of course, the ambulance came, but I declined the trip to the hospital because, you know, at that moment I didn't feel injured, and I have Captain. God forbid if they admit me or something, they're not going to let me take him to the hospital. I don't have anybody I can give him to. What am I going to do with him? I had my seatbelt on. I didn't feel like anything was broken, and I figured all they're going to do at the hospital is give me pain meds, you know, because it's going to be soft tissue injury, and I don't do pain meds except Advil and Tylenol, so I didn't go to the hospital. Maybe I should have. I don't know. I did what seemed like the right thing at the time. Meanwhile, Max is still on his side. Finally, the tow truck came, and it wasn't a particularly big tow truck. So all the deputies, there's like 4 or 5 of them by this time, plus the paramedics, plus the fire department, everybody, they're all saying, are you sure you're going to be able to roll that bus back over with this little truck? The tow truck driver, his name turned out to be Robert. He seemed pretty calm about it, and he hooked Max up to the winch, and then he flipped Max back. Becky, Robert's wife, was in the truck when he did it, and afterwards she told me that the front end of the tow truck actually lifted up off the ground while Max was turning over. So I'm not sure really what the story's going to be with Max mechanically. Nothing looked punctured or destroyed on the undercarriage, and even my solar panels looked okay, but I won't really know for a while because that was a really big bounce. The biggest question is going to be, is the frame okay? You know, is it bent? Robert, the tow truck driver, said that Max towed perfectly straight, so I'm going to try to be optimistic. It's the holiday weekend, so I'm probably not going to know anything till Monday. You know, people wonder why I picked a skoolie over an RV, and this is a good answer. Most RVs would have come apart like balsa wood if something like this happened. I feel like my mom was watching out for me, and also people here have been so amazing to me. That's like another silver lining, I guess, to this really big cloud. It's hard to even think about the bus. I think it's worse than it looks because it looks pretty bad. I'm all over the place right now mentally. I don't really know what comes next. It's just overwhelming. I don't know what I'm going to do. This is not how I envisioned my return to YouTube, you know, but there's that thing that says life is what happens when you're busy making plans. So if you're curious about how screwed I am and you're not a subscriber, then subscribe because I'll let you know the next time. And that's my Black Friday. I hope yours was better.